you have been learning English for years, so why is it hard to understand native speakers having a conversation? That's because they use so much idiomatic language. Now, don't despair. It's very easy to learn with a little help from me. Already at the teacher, but today from me. So stick with me and I'm going to show you a short conversation. I'm going to decode the idiomatic language and give you some additional extremely common idioms that you may hear from native speakers. And to make it easy for you, I've packaged up all of these idioms into a lovely PDF worksheet that you can download for free. I'll leave a link in the description. Are you ready? Let's listen to that first conversation. Oh, I'll have a cuppa if you're putting the kettle on. Oh, look at you all scrubbed up. Yeah, I've got this work to do tonight, so I thought I'd make an effort. Oh, it'd be nice for you to let your hair down. It's been a while, so I'm going to make the most of it. Good for you. You deserve it. Cup of tea then. I'll have a cuppa, I said. I'll have a cuppa. A cuppa is basically a cup of tea. Now, you wouldn't tend to use this if you're asking for a coffee. You'd say, I'll have a coffee if you want a coffee. But if you want a cup of tea, it's common to say, I'll have a cuppa. You could also say, I'll have a brew. Now, a brew means the same thing. It's more common for you to hear this in the north of England, but we all move around so much these days that you could hear anyone, anywhere in the UK saying, I'll have a brew. Tea features very strongly in our culture. There's a couple of phrases here that I want to share with you. If you are instigating the tea making ritual, then you might say, I'll pop the kettle on. To pop the kettle on is just a way of saying I'll put the kettle on. I'll pop the kettle on. Fancy a brew? Here I'm asking you, would you like a cup of tea? I'll pop the kettle on. Fancy a brew? I'll put the kettle on. Would you like a cup of tea? Now, if you are wanting someone else to go and put the kettle on and make you a cup of tea, then you might say, stick the kettle on, will ya? Stick the kettle on, will ya? And you would only do this with people that you know well. You wouldn't ask someone above you at work to go and stick the kettle on. You might also passively ask someone to pop the kettle on by using the phrase, oh, I could murder a cup of tea. Or any other version of cup of tea, you could say, I could murder a cuppa. I could murder a brew. These all mean I'm really, really thirsty. I really want a cup of tea. And if you say it loudly enough in front of someone who may get up and serve you, then you might be surprised. They might respond in kind and say, okay, I'll pop the kettle on. Next I said, look at you all scrubbed up. When you're saying that someone has scrubbed up, you're saying that they are looking well presented. They've dressed themselves well. They're looking nice and smart where they don't normally. So you could say, you're all scrubbed up. What are you all scrubbed up for? You might also say, oh, don't you look posh? And that would be used if someone is dressed in a very smart way, in a way you've never seen them before. For example, if a man normally only wears tracksuit bottoms and a hoodie, and suddenly they're wearing a full suit, they've got a shirt and a jacket and a tie and trousers on and nice shiny shoes. Oh, don't you look posh? It's a way of complimenting them for looking so smart. But again, you use it in familiar relationships. I wouldn't use this to say that someone at work looks very smart. You could also say, look at you all dolled up. Wow, look at you all dolled up. I'd only use this for a lady. who's suddenly wearing lots of makeup and has styled their hair in a nice way. To be dolled up. Look at you all dolled up. You could say that someone looks rather dapper if it's a man, saying that they look very smart, very nice. You look rather dapper. And you could say that to anybody. So at work, wow, you look rather dapper. Or you look quite snazzy, or rather snazzy. If it's a girl or a boy, this one could work for, a lady or a man. You look quite snazzy. And this is if they're wearing like sparkly, I don't know why I have to do a shimmy for that. If they're wearing something sparkly and glamorous, if a guy is wearing just something that looks really cool and smart, wow, you look rather snazzy. Where are you going? Back to the conversation. In response to, you're all scrubbed up, my character said, I thought I'd make an effort. I thought I'd make an effort. So this is deciding to dress well, deciding to make yourself look smart. You could also, now you could say, I didn't want to look like I've been dragged through a hedge backwards. Ooh! So I love this phrase, to be dragged through a hedge backwards. We often use this to describe someone who looks really bedraggled, really scruffy, like, like, Anna, what's happened to you? You look like you've been dragged through a hedge backwards. I've just had a really hard day working on the accounts. Yes, so in this character's case, I would say, well, I don't want to look like I've been dragged through a hedge backwards. I said, it'll be good for you to let your hair down. It'll be good for you to let your hair down. To let your hair down is a phrase that means to relax, to have a good time where you normally don't. So somebody who works too hard, who never goes out, who doesn't really spend time socializing, who can't relax, occasionally still has to let their hair down. And it's good to occasionally let your hair down. So someone like me, I should probably go out more rather than spending all my time in the office talking to you, although it's lovely, we're having a nice time. Other phrases that you could use are to cut loose. So you might say, yeah, it's time to cut loose. I'm scrubbing up well. I'm gonna let my hair down. It's time to cut loose. So imagining that you're tethered, you're tied to your responsibilities, to your work. And finally, it's time to cut that tie, release yourself. Da, 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 da. Oh, there we go, I'm dancing. How embarrassing. Oh, you might also say in this scenario, you need to live a little. It's a very common phrase. Oh, go on, live a little. So if you're holding back from going out, you're struggling to cut loose, you're struggling to let your hair down, you can't get away from those responsibilities, you feel that need to work all the time, I might say, look, just leave it. Go on, live a little. Go and have a good time. So I'm encouraging you to live your life, to have fun, live a little. In the sketch, I said, it's a work do. I've got a work do tonight. Now, a work do is a party. In this case, a work party. You could use do for all sorts of other types of parties. So you might have a hen do. You might have a big do, a little do. So you might call a work do a staff do. So you refer to the people who work in a company as the staff. So it might be a staff do. Or an office do, which would be a party in the office that you work in, an office do. So that's a party. Not to be confused with a hairdo, which is a hairstyle. English. Oh. There could also be a team do. So if you work within a huge company and you're part of a smaller team, like your core team, which is part of a bigger team or the wider team, then you might be having a small team do. Then you might have a wider team do, then a full staff do. Oh, of course, at Christmas, you're going to have a Christmas do. Okay, I'm away from the do. Step away from the do. Next, I said to make the most of it. I'm going to make the most of it. I don't get out very often, so I'm going to make the most of it. This means to enjoy something. Last, I said, good for you. Good for you. It's a genuine expression of, I'm happy for you. Good for you. That's a good thing for you. You might also hear good on you. Good on you. Good on you. Notice how they blend together. Good on. Good on. Good on you. Good on you. They both mean the same thing. I'm happy for you. Well done. But you need to be careful with this because the tone sometimes will suggest that this is not well-meaning. It could be sarcastic. It could be like an I don't care. That's good for you, but it's not good for me kind of sentiment. So if you win the lottery and you've now got lots and lots of money, but I'm struggling to pay my rent and I don't care much about you, then you might be going, look, I've got all this money. And I might be saying, good for you. Good on you. I'll give you the conversation one more time so that you can hear it through. And remember, I've put all of the phrases together in one big PDF for you so that you can have access to that. Oh, I'll have a cuppa if you're putting the kettle on. Oh, look at you all scrubbed up. Yeah, I've got this work to do tonight, so I thought I'd make an effort. Oh, it'd be nice for you to let your hair down. It's been a while, so I'm going to make the most of it. Good for you. You deserve it. Cup of tea then. I hope you found today useful. Please put in the comments your favourite phrase or any that I may have missed that you think are relevant. I look forward to reading your comments. Until next time, take very good care and goodbye.